5%.
Ladies and gentlemen, misfits around the world, welcome back to the Common Cast. I am Torque. I'm here joined by two good people, somewhat good people. I have Edge of Space
Hey guys, I got a new mic, so I don't sound like I'm in a wind tunnel anymore. Yay!
and Gibby.
And I am now the lone citizen in the wind tunnel. So have fun, guys.
Alright, he still has a shitty mic. Ha! Anyway, we're just going to talk about wrestling this week. Things we are looking forward to, things we are not looking forward to, and the rest of that. Anyway, first topic here, I have the Sami Zayn return. What do you think will happen when he comes back in NXT?
I anticipate that Sami Zayn is going to be... One of two things is going to happen. They're either going to have him come back on NXT for like a few weeks, and then have him as a entrant in the Rumble. Not guaranteeing he's going to win, he probably will. Or he's going to be the only person to hold the NXT Championship twice. That's my two angles that I think they're going to go with.
Gibby?
I think the smartest thing WWE can do is bring him right up to the main roster, not waiting for the Royal Rumble, and he can join the potential faction to oppose the League of Nations, where he can join Dean Ambrose and Roman Reigns, and that can be their ace in the hole, quote unquote, is at the return of Sami Zayn.
You know, now that I think about it, that could be what it is they're going to do, because I don't know if you guys follow Kevin Owens or Sheamus on Twitter.
I follow Kevin Owens because that dude, like, you don't get into a Twitter fight with Kevin Owens.
No, he will block you. Well, these two got into a little kayfabe spat on Twitter, going back and forth. It started with Sheamus standing next to Finn Balor, them both holding their titles, and underneath it showed Kevin Owens holding the NXT Championship and Seth Rollins holding the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, and it says "Boys to Men," which Kevin Owens replied. Kevin Owens on Twitter, he's hilarious. If you're not following him, go follow him at Fight Owens Fight. It's really, his Twitter feeds are hilarious. But they were going back and forth, and in there, someone said that Kevin Owens, Sheamus said that his championship is going to be with the League of Nations one way or another. So, what if they had Kevin Owens join the League of Nations as their Canadian member, and then Sami Zayn returns with Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose and them to face him?
And the Usos?
And the Usos.
Well, okay, here's the problem I have with the... I don't have a problem with the League of Nations, and I would like Kevin Owens to be a part of that. I mean, he is Canadian, so I mean, he fits right in there. And then that would be basically all the championships are held by the League of Nations except the tag team titles. It's just the problem I have with the other team forming is Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, and the Usos. But the Usos are also fighting for the tag team championships, which is just weird to me. You know? Like, they're in this storyline, but they're still fighting in this storyline. So, I don't know.
Yeah, but before we'll dive down the factions rabbit hole a little later. Focusing on Sami Zayn, it would be easy to just have him make a return at the Royal Rumble, but I think he said on Twitter that he's going to be on the tour of the UK, at least for TakeOver, so they may just have him debut there. I am still kind of torn. I don't know which would be better, just a surprise entrance in the Rumble, or him having a surprise matchup at TakeOver.
Well,
I can't decide which would be better.
I think he should.
I think that he needs to do a main roster return, because he was already on the main roster when he got hurt, and although Royal Rumble returns are cool, unless you win it, it's a short-term return. There's not a once you return from the Royal Rumble at the Royal Rumble in the match, you get eliminated, thrown out. Boom, now you're left with nothing. Then I just got eliminated from the Royal Rumble. So he shouldn't return in the Royal Rumble in that fashion unless he's going to win it. And if he wins it, then that just, blows the roof off of everybody, but he should come back before or after and be inserted into a storyline instead of just returning at the Rumble.
I think with the way that WrestleMania 32 is looking to turn out, which isn't very good, if he came back and started feuding with Owens again, that would be great, in my opinion. I think it kind of takes away the oh my gosh, he's returning feeling when they say Sami Zayn returns. So like I think they should have just had him like make his debut on the main roster because I don't think he should be in NXT anymore. Same with Finn Balor.
All right, well, first of all, Trevor, he was already on the main roster when he
Yeah,
got hurt.
that
So
too.
he wouldn't be debuting to the main roster. He'd be returning. Second of all, with most WWE returns, like their or comebacks, they are announced like that. Like next week, blah blah blah's coming back home. But like it takes a certain amount of star power for it to just work to have a return out of nowhere. And like WWE, yes, has been getting more liberal with returns, but like announcing Alberto Del Rio coming back or not announcing Alberto Del Rio coming back was the right move because he's not even in the company. So that's a good time to use the not returning bit. Daniel Bryan or The Rock or some other person who is on a legendary status not getting announced, not their return not getting announced, then that's the smart move. I want them to announce Sami Zayn's returning because I want to get hyped to see Sami Zayn. Because if Daniel Bryan returned or if Seth Rollins or if The Rock returned, it would just be boom right there. They have all the momentum they need right away. Whereas Sami Zayn just showing up out of nowhere unannounced, it'd be all right, but like there's no momentum behind it because he wasn't really that popular to begin with. So they're announcing him returning to get people hyped to see him.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I could see that.
All right, next topic.
Next
Since
topic.
I just dropped the mic on you.
Next topic, we're gonna move into the Divas division. So the women. We're kind of looking because Charlotte's been kind of turning heel, but there hasn't been like a set in stone. Oh, she's heel, but it looks that way, and it seems that in the entire women's division, that Becky Lynch is the only face left. So, which is not a problem because, well, I'm a Becky Lynch fan.
Yes, we know.
But if you're the fan, or if you're a fan of multiple women's rivalries, that is a problem. In no facet of any division, whether it's Divas division, tag team, singles, should there just be one of either face or heel. Because that's just such a lopsided thing where who's Becky Lynch gonna wrestle? Because she pretty much has to wrestle every show, which yes is good for Becky Lynch, but for the passive observer like me, seeing only Becky Lynch wrestle versus insert heel here isn't really too entertaining. If it was Becky Lynch wrestling every match and then another face versus another heel diva, then there's variety there. But too much Becky Lynch too fast is most likely a bad thing long term.
I'm not saying I love this angle because there's just not enough women that are really worth watching to wrestle. Because I've said it before, but like there's 5 on the main roster, and that's Paige, Becky, Charlotte, Natalia, Was there another one? Oh, Sasha Banks.
Nikki Bella.
Yeah.
I'm the only Nikki Bella fan here, apparently.
I'm not a Nikki Bella fan.
That
I'm
is,
impartial because back before the Divas Revolution trademark, Nikki Bella was probably the one who was bringing it the most to hold up that division, right alongside Paige. But Paige was being booked very badly, so I respect Nikki Bella for being able to try and hold that division up. But compared to the new women's wrestlers we have, I'm not a huge fan of her.
that's, if anything, it's the opposite for me. I wasn't a huge fan of Nikki Bella until the Divas Revolution, and then you have all these like exotic personalities, and I'm not saying, and in this case, I'm not saying exotic is a good thing, but you have all these things that are so much different, but then Nikki Bella's here just doing like going back to the fundamentals, and it's a little reassuring. She's just a mean bitch, basically. She's a mean bitch, but she's not like a hot. She's not a hot-tempered bitch like Sasha Banks. She's not a. She's not a like a crazy bitch like Paige. She's just a smooth mean bitch, and it appeals to me because like that basically heals way back when. That's all he healed divas. That's all they were. They were just smooth, little bit cold-hearted bitches. And so Nikki Bella's going back to fundamentals, and that's what she had to do when she was the only one there, or when she was the diva holding up the division. But like we I think it hurt the divas. It hurt the Divas Revolution when like 4 or 5 of the big names just got dropped in right away, because now there's too much, or there's a whole lot of exposure for them, but each person, each character is getting a fourth or a fifth of that exposure. Whereas if they were released one day, or not one day at a time, but like periodically over a year, then they would have benefited a whole lot more than just like carpet bombing a whole Divas Revolution. And so Nikki Bella's, in my opinion, the Divas division, there's a lot of aspiring wrestlers or divas or women's wrestlers for the future, but in my opinion, Nikki Bella is still like the main pillar holding it up.
Yeah, I mean she's a big player. I'm not gonna say that she isn't. But there is the fact that a lot of the reasons that they started a Divas Revolution kind of stem from how people viewed the Bellas, you know? Like the whole reason they kind of did a Divas Revolution is because people were getting sick of how the Bellas were doing things. And also, I guess you can't really like blame them fully for it, but the Bellas kind of are the example of the thing we don't want in women's wrestling. And I'm not saying that Nikki Bella isn't good. I'm saying that the character that she embodies, this like supermodel turned wrestler, is what ultimately was the catalyst for a start of a Divas Revolution. You know what I mean? It's the same problem that people have with Eva Marie, is that, yeah, she's hot, but she's not a wrestler. Nikki Bella can at least wrestle, but I kind of lost my train of thought.
I think it comes down to, I partially agree with you that there were a whole lot of Nikki Bella, or the Divas division for a long time was just made up of Nikki Bella type characters. And so Nikki Bella, yes, does that character the best, but she was facing other Nikki Bella type characters. Like when it was Brie Bella versus when it was Brie Bella versus Stephanie McMahon. Like Nikki Bella is essentially a Stephanie McMahon character, minus the relationship to the boss, minus that. Like, so yeah, I see where you're coming from there, but in my opinion, Nikki Bella's character is the most developed, and other characters will become developed. I understand that. Nikki Bella's character is the most developed, and I see her motivations the most. Whereas it seems like other divas are just like, where especially like the catty heel turns, the Charlotte heel turn for no reason. Well, I just don't like you anymore, is what it boils down to.
Yeah.
With Charlotte's heel turn. And so I think that takes away from the character. That's the childish, cartoonish storylines that we talked about on our last podcast. So
Yeah, I mean, ultimately it comes down to the Divas Revolution was not a success. And also, it totally goes off of what you were saying in the fact that all these women they brought up aren't developed at all, because the characters they were in NXT just kind of got forgotten, you know? Like, now they're just, these, like, they're basically characterized by the fact that they're talented, and that's about it. And, like, yeah, there was a lot of people, like, say, in the Nexus that was talented, but they didn't develop each of them individually, so most of them are gone. It's the same deal. And ultimately...
they're either gone or in different gimmicks.
Yeah. Ultimately, they can say Divas Revolution as much. This has been said a lot. They need to change how they book them before they can have a Divas Revolution trademark.
Being booked, they're trying to make the League of Nations an honest to God faction. They're trying, like, it's supposed to be the real deal. So that being said, if League of Nations is going to be a big deal, then you don't have the leader of your faction lose, and especially lose his title on the first match you're in. And so, and the other thing is it will just help Roman Reigns's, it will help the storyline where they're trying to build Roman Reigns as the underdog, quote unquote, to win the WWE Championship. Because nobody believes Roman Reigns is an underdog. So he needs to hit a losing streak like no one's business. He's already got screwed, so there's a loss. He got screwed at Survivor Series, so there's your loss. If he needs to lose at the upcoming pay-per-view, there's another loss. And I would have him say, if I'm putting on my booking cap, I'd have him say, well, I've lost 2 times, so I'm going to win the Rumble again, so I can headline WrestleMania and become champion. And then I'd have him be eliminated in the Royal Rumble in maybe some dusty faction where dusty fashion where he gets eliminated by 1 or 2 members of the League of Nations. And so then he's on another losing streak. And then somehow he jury rigs his way into the match at WrestleMania. And now he's a little bit more of an underdog because he hasn't won in 5 pay-per-views. So minus the double or since he wrestled 2 matches at Survivor Series. But he's lost at 5 pay-per-views, 5 pay-per-view matches in a row. So it's a little bit more believable that Roman Reigns is an underdog.
Yeah. See, even then, I don't know. To be honest.
Well, because this whole storyline, and I don't mean to cut you off, is just kind of like there's a lot of bad that is coming from it, but there's one bit of good. And the only good thing that I can see is the formation of the League of Nations, because now there's the hope that they'll drop the Mex America gimmick for Del Rio. Rusev is back and he's doing something big. He's not in a title picture, but he's involved in like the main event storyline. And it's also making Barrett out to look like, I don't know, a good second in command or something like that. And it's helping Sheamus because when you put him with those three, it looks good. Everything else about this storyline, I don't like at all. Because this is the problem with Roman Reigns, is that kayfabe is his worst enemy because nothing that he does seems legitimate. Like, if he loses, it's like, oh, well, they're just giving him losses to make us like him. And if he wins, it's, well, he's being pushed by the guys in the back. And in both scenarios, we're not exactly wrong. Like, we know that Roman Reigns has been treated like royalty by the guys in the back for a really long time. So this entire storyline, like, for the love of God, it was 4 versus 1 on SmackDown the other night.
And Roman Reigns won.
He won. Granted, it was by count out, but still, like, somebody who could...
Which immediately buries the League of Nations.
Exactly.
After they tried to make him look like $1 million on Monday on Raw, but
In
whatever.
fact, it was like they threw Wade Barrett out like in the first 5 minutes of the match or something
And
like that.
he didn't do anything that was worth sending people out. Like, he did like a little interference thing, which is done all the time by tag teams and stuff. And then for some reason Barrett's thrown out because of it. It just, yeah.
And then the other bad to this is they're calling Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, and the Usos a faction, and I use air quotes to the biggest extent so that I can use air quotes. There aren't enough quotes you can put around faction when it comes to these guys, because you have a legitimate faction that was legitimate until you had them lose, all 4 of them lose to Roman Reigns. In the League of Nations, they have a name, they have a reason to be there, sort of. Then you have these other guys who, they don't seem like a faction. They seem like a 4-man team they just threw together to throw against the League of Nations. And because this is WWE we're talking about, I could totally see them just pushing this face faction because they get cheered on SmackDown, pretty much.
I guess one of the big problems, other than they just seem like they're thrown together with the face faction that it is, Usos are probably the least, like, ones that seem thrown in the most. Like, yes, they have a relation to Roman Reigns, Samoan, but like nothing really, because they're still fighting for the tag team championships,
Well,
which just go ahead.
yeah, like you were saying, yes, I agree with you partially that the reason it seems like they've been shoehorned in is because they're still wrestling people who aren't in the rival faction. All right, so that's why it seems like they're a little shoehorned in. But let's be honest, a Roman Reigns Usos faction tag team, that makes sense. That's one of the bare essentials to get away with anything. Say they're brothers or family related. That's how the Dudley boys originally were, is that they were half brothers. And I mean, I'm not sure if they are still pushing that today, that they're brothers, or if they're just the Dudley boys, but that's a basic fundamental and easy way to get a tag team. So I don't the fact that they're family makes them perfectly legitimate, and then Dean Ambrose is then that makes Dean Ambrose the odd one out. But also on the other side, you have Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose, and they've been buds on TV for a while, and they were part of the Shield, so then that makes sense for them to be a tag team.
Yeah, but
And
even
then,
when Ambrose and Reigns were like together, I mean, they went against the Wyatt family. And see how that turned out? I mean, it's just Ambrose just doesn't seem like he fits with Roman Reigns anymore.
It isn't that they don't have a reason to work together. They absolutely do. It's the fact of what these guys were doing before they got here that bothers me. It's like Ambrose was fighting Reigns for the title. He then moved on to Owens for the Intercontinental Championship, who is not a member of the League of Nations, yet he's also fighting the League of Nations at the same time. Ambrose is. Same thing goes for the Usos. They were in contendership for the Tag Team Championships against the New Day, who also is not a member of the League of Nations, but then they're also in this storyline. The only one who's really just here dedicated is Reigns. Then you have these three guys who were doing stuff otherwise, and yeah, were they not doing anything else before this, it would make perfect sense that they're here. But unless they're fighting against someone in the League of Nations, then it just kind of feels like they threw them in here because there's some kind of connection that makes it so they have a faction that looks good. You know?
I think they're trying to, or I think WWE is trying to more liberally book wrestlers in the fact that 10, 15, 20 years ago, 10 to 20 years ago, wrestlers would be booked in like if you were a top wrestler, like a top 2 or top 3 face or baby face, you'd be booked in multiple rivalries that were sort of the same, like where The Rock was always against Triple H, and Triple H, no matter who was face or who was a heel, because the rivalry went across both wrestlers being face and heels, and so the rivalry it was the main part of the rivalry was always Triple H versus The Rock. But if The Rock was face and Triple H was heel with a heel Degeneration X, then The Rock would go against Triple H at pay-per-views, and then on Raws and SmackDowns he'd face a member of the New Age Outlaws or X-Pac, and then occasionally at a pay-per-view where they wanted to have Triple H versus someone else, then they'd have The Rock versus Billy Gunn at a pay-per-view. So that, or even like for the longest time, the one of the biggest rivalries in WWE history was Hulk Hogan versus Bobby Heenan. And it was just and it was Hulk Hogan versus a manager, and the manager, Bobby Heenan, just kept bringing in new guys to wrestle Hulk Hogan, such as Andre the Giant, or even like lesser known names like Earthquake. Yes, Earthquake versus Hulk Hogan. Look it up. But I do think this is an attempt at WWE to return a little bit to that style of booking where you can have multiple rivalries going at the same time. The problem that we're seeing here is in this specific case, it just doesn't seem to be working.
Correct.
And that that ultimately pulls it back to what I was one of the things I was going to say earlier is that the only the thing this is supposed to be pushing is Sheamus versus Reigns, but it's not really accomplishing that. It's like, yeah, we have Sheamus, he's the champion. Yeah, we have Reigns, he's the contender. In that situation, we already know what's going to happen. We know that eventually Reigns is going to hold the championship, and even if he doesn't hold the championship, do we really want Sheamus as champion forever? And the answer is no. So the core, centerpiece to this entire storyline, which is the big championship, Reigns versus Sheamus, is already kind of dead on arrival. So this whole thing is kind of falling flat as it stands.
I guess another problem I have with the face faction is it's almost like Roman Reigns looks like John Cena, and then the Usos and Dean Ambrose look like Heath Slater. They look like Justin Gabriel, like just little guys. Because to me, it looks like the way they're booking Reigns against everyone. Reigns could take on the Usos at the same time and win, and then Reigns could obviously beat Ambrose. So it just feels like there's this one overpowered guy who's probably going to do most of the work, and then these other three.
And to anybody who's listening to this and is saying, well, they haven't always done this for Roman Reigns, I'm going to say bullshit to that. If you go way back to, and I really hope that's not too loud. Okay. You go all the way back to, I think it was 2013, you had CM Punk versus The Shield. CM Punk beats Ambrose and Rollins. Ambrose, who, mind you, was the U.S. champion at the time. Rollins was Rollins. He was uber talented. And he goes over both of them. Then they put him against Reigns, and Reigns wins. So I'm just like, I don't like the Superman gimmick, and that's exactly what they gave him.
Stop. Hold on. Just pause real quick. I'll edit this out. Is there someone like whining in the back?
It's my fucking nephew. I'll be right back.
We could have just played that off as like a little cameo, a little cameo from Luke's nephew.
No, it was just like whining. Like it was annoying.
Are you entertained, Josh? Who's not on this call anymore?
Yeah, when we're done recording this, I'm calling my dad and I'm telling him I'm coming home a week early. I'm fucking done with this.
But because a little kid whined.
Because he does this all the time. He literally never stops making noise. If he's in the bathroom, he's singing. If he's in the hallway, he's stomping his feet. If he's watching his stupid videos on his iPad, he's making noise. He's always making noise. Early in the morning, I don't need an alarm clock. He wakes me up. Late at night, I don't get to sleep until 1 in the morning because he's up and making noise. And I'm so fucking sick of it. And now, with my uber-sensitive mic, all he has to do is fart and I can hear it. So the fact that he's singing...
All right, well, Luke, this is what kids do. That's what all my brothers and sisters have done their entire life.
Don't want to have any more to do with it, so there's no reason. Like, me sitting here for the next 2 weeks is wasting time as it is, so why not just cut that shit in half?
Alright, just calm down. It's okay. You'll be alright, Luke, I promise.
I probably won't, but we'll pretend that I am.
Anyway, where'd you leave off? I forgot. Oh, you were talked about Roman Reigns beat CM Punk 2013.
Yeah, and how I was tired of the Superman gimmick, but
Okay.
I feel like I'm just rambling at this point.
All
right. So, what word did you exactly say? Like, what phrase did you end on? And then I'll pop in.
I said, well, wait. I don't know. Did you stop the recording while I was talking, or did you stop after?
No, I didn't stop it. It's still going. Here, just like Luke finished somewhere on Roman Reigns beat CM Punk when CM Punk couldn't beat Rollins or Ambrose.
Yeah.
So just from right off that, go.
Yeah, I'll just proceed off of that. And so, based off of that storyline, they're still doing this. Like, we have the 1v4. This whole thing, it's just like this entire storyline, it just has me, like, double face palming because it's like we have this awesome faction that they could push so well. Then they have 1v4 against Reigns. This is the problem with Roman Reigns, is that you put him against anyone and it's like, okay, he may lose now, but he's going to win in the end. And when he wins, it's going to be, okay, that's the end of the storyline. He won. He's victorious. It's like, that's why I love the angle for the League of Nations, because it's how you do country gimmicks properly. But ultimately, I just don't see them. They're not going to be able to successfully push them because they're putting them against Roman Reigns. Because he has to win in the end.
I think that comes down to repeating storylines too soon. They're doing where their major babyface is an underdog to a faction, which is exactly what Daniel Bryan was almost exactly 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels it's a little watered down. Not only because of Roman Reigns' infamous booking from before this storyline, but also because we've just seen it 2 years ago. It'd be different if it was 5 or if it was 4 or 5, maybe even 3. But like Daniel Bryan is like even still being out injured for the better part of the 2 years. Like, he's still one of WWE's biggest stars because his run that 6 month run was probably one of the biggest runs of any superstar in wrestling history. All right. And so then that leaves that storyline in particular a little longer. It leaves a lasting imprint that's just a little bit longer in the back of our minds. So then you see this obviously bigger, more overpowered wrestler, and they're trying to do the same exact storyline they just did 2 years ago. Like right away, that storyline isn't going to match up because Daniel Bryan is is an automatic legend at this point, and Roman Reigns isn't. So right there, you're handicapped. On top of time constraints and Roman Reigns' booking beforehand, it's set up for the storyline to fail.
Mm-hmm. They either, to revive this storyline, they need Reigns to be going up against someone other than Sheamus, and then they need to try to save the League of Legends. Here I go, the League of Nations credibility now, because putting them against Reigns is ultimately going to set them up to fail, and it's going to set Reigns up to get even more hated than he already is. They need Reigns to face either Triple H or Cena, in my opinion. Like, they have to put him against someone who is his equal, which in this case would be Cena, or they need to put him against an obvious heel who's powerful, and that would be Triple H.
I would not be opposed to bringing Brock Lesnar back in a heel fashion and facing Roman Reigns. Not for any championship, but just two monsters facing each other. I think that would help Roman Reigns.
So pretty much what I'm getting at is that Roman Reigns needs to lose quite a bit, actually, and it's not going to be by WrestleMania, but he needs to lose legitimately, and he can't, because we know if he goes against Sheamus, it's going to be a dusty finish with probably some League of Nations involved, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So there's not going to be anyone that can beat Roman Reigns legitimately. We can still say that Brock Lesnar never beat Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns was probably the best fight against Lesnar against everyone with the exception of The Undertaker.
Yeah. I don't know, this whole storyline, it's just...
It's not going to end up, because also the fact that they're setting it up like WrestleMania 30, it's almost like it almost insults our intelligence, you know? It feels like Vince McMahon said, "Oh, we'll just do the same thing as WrestleMania 30. The fans won't know."
Yeah, they liked it when Daniel Bryan did it. Why won't they like it when Roman Reigns does it?
Well, mainly because we had to fight for Daniel Bryan to get that main event. We're not
that was a rhetorical question.
I don't know why
but
I'm
thanks,
talking,
buddy.
man.
Meanwhile, we're fighting against Roman Reigns in the main event, but they're going to do it anyways.
Yeah, and I think the 2 long pauses we've had during this conversation sums it up. Like, there's not much to talk about. There's not a whole lot of faith this is going to work either way. So let's move on.
All right, I think this is going to be our last topic for this podcast. We're going to go into NXT. Who will Bayley face, and just really, what do you think the outcome will be ultimately?
Well, I liked the angle of Alexa Bliss, but they kind of already did it and had Bliss lose, and also the fact that I think it was Blake got like a DUI charge over this last weekend, so he's probably not going to be on NXT for a couple of weeks at least, so they're out as an option. Then it seems like they could be alluring to a Nia Jax Bayley match, which makes me a little nervous because if Bayley loses at this point, I feel like her next destination is the main roster, and given how the other 3-4 horsewomen have been booked, I don't think that would work well right now. But then the problem is that if you put her against Nia Jax, you either have Nia Jax lose to Bayley, and then her win streak is gone, or you have her take the championship off of Bayley, making her probably the fastest NXT Women's Champion in history, like since debuting. And then you're kind of starved for babyfaces to face Nia Jax. So there's a bit of a void that's going to be left, no matter what it is that you do with that. Of course, they could go with Eva Marie, but same problem. Even if Bayley retains, then who do you put up against her next? This is kind of an awkward storyline too, because they don't have a Sasha Banks or a Charlotte that they can call on to just be like, okay, you're gonna have a match with Bayley at Takeover. They gotta make somebody.
And because of that, backtracking real quick, that's another problem with just dumping all the best divas into the main roster, is now NXT is starved for bodies at this point. Not necessarily talent, but they're starved for bodies and for originality. But to completely counter your Eva Marie statement, I think there's honest to God money in Eva Marie being champion.
Oh, it would generate the most heel heat of anybody. Like,
Exactly.
There's money in that. I won't deny that.
Here's how I would book this. All right, here's how I would book this.
You got 5 minutes. Because I know how you go. You got
we can't
5
have 10
minutes.
We established that Bayley, or we have a gauntlet, a quick gauntlet where Bayley has to face Nia Jax and Alexa Bliss and another heel, not Eva Marie. I need to be specific. Not Eva Marie. All right? And another heel. So she has to face those three, one right after the other, on a main event for NXT. And she beats all three of them right in a row. So 3 matches in one day, beats all 3 of them. And so then you have William Regal come out and you go, all right, well, Bayley's beat everyone. Because she's already beaten, obviously, everyone in the past. And now she's beaten these 3 up-and-comers, some of them multiple times. So there's no one left to really challenge her at this point. And so then you say, all right, and so then William Regal goes, all right, I'm announcing a tournament. Yes, a tournament. Hold those sighs until I'm done. He announces a tournament where he's going to have all the divas, all the NXT divas, in a tournament. The winner gets to face Bayley at the next takeover. And so then Bayley is rewarded for pretty much owning everybody by not having to wrestle. So she'll be completely she won't have to wrestle until the next takeover, so she'll be completely refreshed and ready to go. And so then you have all your divas, heels and baby faces, in the tournament. And I would even go so far as to debut, or not debut necessarily, but take local wrestlers from the indie territories in Florida to fill in the gaps if there are any gaps, because I want this to be a sizable tournament, at least 16 divas, which obviously it's hard for NXT to fill 16 diva spot.
Well, I'll give you 3 names right off the bat that are in developmental as we speak. There's Billie Kay, Peyton Royce, and Aaliyah. There's
there we go.
3 that could be on TV right now, but they just haven't gotten a storyline to work with.
Exactly. That's my point. If you need to find ways to fill a 16-manner. All right? So in the first match, right away, Eva Marie gets put against Natalya. And you go right off all right, well, Natalya should win this rather handily. And you have Eva Marie cheat to win in some fashion. Like roll up, holds the tights down, her feet are on the ropes to get the pin. Something of that nature. And so Eva Marie cheats to win the first one. And so then then you go to the next match where Eva Marie faces it really doesn't matter as long as they're a face. In this case, I'd want her to face a face or to wrestle a face. All right, and so for the sake of argument, blue pants. Yes, blue pants. All right. Yes, blue pants made it further than Natalia. You have her
man.
face. You have her face blue pants. All right, and and you have Eva Marie attempt to do something similar, like roll up and get the pin. 1, 2, 3, do the tights. But this time the referee sees it, and the referee goes. And the referee kind of flails around, tells her no, the match is continuing. And while he's bending over to explain it to the ring announcer, Eva Marie hits Blue Pants from behind with some sort of object, weapon, and then Blue Pants is knocked out. Ref turns around. Eva Marie's covering her well. 1, 2, 3. Eva Marie's cheated twice to go forward, and now people are pissed because they don't like Eva Marie. So then it comes down to the quarterfinals of the
30 seconds.
Coming down to the quarterfinals. She faces no. I'm getting done in 30 seconds. Comes down to the quarterfinals, beats now she's against another heel. She beats and this time the heel is a better equipped heel. I don't know, Nia Jax, let's say. Faces Nia Jax. Everyone would go, well, Nia Jax needs to beat her. It's a heel versus heel. There's no more heat in that way to get from beating a face. And so what Nia Jax does is she soundly squashes Eva Marie in a match. Like, just pretty much destroys her, basically. Eva Marie gets a no offense. And then what Nia Jax does is she hits her finisher, and then goes to pin Eva Marie. But decides, no, that's not enough. Like, picks up her shoulder at the count of 2. She wants to embarrass Eva Marie because she's a heel. She gets up on the top rope and makes it like she's going to do some sort of
I'm just picturing Nia Jax on the top rope.
Exactly. She wants to murder. She literally wants to straight up murder Eva Marie. Gets on the top rope and acts like she's gonna do a move, like a splash move. Right as she's about to jump, her feet slip and she falls out of the ring and lands on her shoulder or awkwardly on her leg, and then she can't get up to make the 10 count.
Help, I'm falling and I can't get up.
Exactly. She hurt herself. She can't make it to the 10 count. Eva Marie just got squashed, but the hand of God has come down and helped Eva Marie to the quote-unquote, finals, because the winner, and then so she faces another heel or face, doesn't matter. And if it's a heel, the heel gets herself disqualified somehow, whether it's trying to cheat to beat Eva Marie and she gets caught and she gets disqualified or something like that, or Eva Marie just cheats again to somehow beat the heel or to beat a face diva, and now she has to face Bayley. All right, and now Eva Marie's got a huge amount of heat behind her because she's just like stolen and gotten lucky all the way through to be the main to beat Bayley, and then you could Bayley's the incumbent champion that everybody likes, and then you could have another Divas main event for a takeover. Because you have your big face star versus your eruption of a heel star, and that's how I would book it. I would also book Eva Marie winning, but I've ran out of cool tricks, so I'm not gonna say how, because there's no way, I don't know. But right there, you have a big takeover match between divas, where both two are over.
Okay, so real quick, because we're running a little long on this, let's just go around the table. when it comes to you, just say off the top of your head who you think Bailey is going to face. So, Torque.
Nia Jax, and honestly, no, there's just not really a good outcome of that. I'm real quick. I'm gonna say I hope the next NXT Women's Champ is Asuka, but that's just me.
I would want her to face Natalya.
Yeah, I'd go with either of those. I think it's probably going to be Nia Jax. I mean, I would prefer Asuka because you could have a face v face feud with that. Like, it's holy shit. It's Bailey, the biggest baby face probably in the history of NXT, and she's coming from the women's division, so that's saying something. And then you got Asuka, who murders everyone, literally everyone.
Yeah, I would argue that Sami Zayn is the biggest face in NXT history.
Okay,
but that's the topic for another podcast.
Yeah, so you put them against each other, and in that match, you realize that both of them are talented, both of them have potential, both of them are insanely over. It doesn't matter who wins at that point. It's a victory for the people watching the match.
Exactly. All right, I think that just about wraps it up for the Common Cast. Some quick things before we go. Follow us on Twitter at TGCommonCast. Follow me on Instagram at Torque2024. Why not? I don't see any reason why not. And I think that
as the 2012 versions of us would say, YOLO.
All right, and that's where we leave. We will see you guys later, and join us next time for the Common Cast.